Sol y Luna Inspirations with Dayana Robinson and Martin Comtois.
Today we're going to be talking about the coming up Sagittarius New Moon happening on Tuesday, December 12th at 1:16 a.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Out with the old. Yes, the last new moon of 2024, the last new moon before the winter solstice, a new moon in Sagittarius. What does a new moon in Sagittarius feel like to you?
Potentially be quite fiery. Sagittarius is the beginning of the last fire sign.
Especially with the conjunction with Mars, huh?
Yeah, extra fiery. And then new moons are about new beginnings, and there's a visionary quality to Sagittarius, so potential for a lot of new visions.
New visions. To me, that's kind of what, what comes up for me is out of the darkness is born the light. And so, there's a lot of collective and personal tension that has been experienced in 2023. I read today somebody was saying about 2023, I'm going to take 2023 in the middle of the lake and I'm going to sink it. It's not that bad, but it seems to be a definite year of deep, profound change for a lot of us, and a lot of that change is not quite complete yet. So we're in this Sagittarius new moon. We're in the second week of Advent. We're really asking for the light to be reborn and some clarity of intention. Let's see what the tarot has to say. Oh,
Cups. Huh.
The Eight of Cups.
I'll come bring it up close to you guys. What do you see there, Martin? There's a
it's a very
walking away from the water side.
Well, what I think is really far out is that you have a new moon right there, right? A new moon is when the sun and the moon are together, setting together. And here there's 8 cups on the side of the water, and the gentleman is moving away from them, huh?
Yeah.
And they're like all nicely organized.
Walking back from the water's edge.
And it's a new moon.
Maybe after that deep emotional release of Scorpio season, if there was some for you.
Well, I think this is the perfect symbolism of out with the old, It's like, okay, let's walk away from all of that. And so
that's a great one for out with the old.
It really feels to me very accurate in terms of letting go a lot of emotional baggage, huh? That's a good one. A lot of emotional baggage. And I think that the new moon there is perfect symbolism for it. So let's show the chart and see what's going on with this new moon. So
of the sun-moon conjunction making a new moon.
With Mars, sun is gradually moving away from Mars. The sun and the moon make a quincunx to Uranus. And then Mars makes a trine, and sun and moon make a trine to Chiron.
Wounded healer.
And then the sun and moon makes a square to Neptune and Pisces. So sun, moon, Mars, square Neptune, trine Chiron, and quincunx Uranus. The redemption and change through wisdom and facing the wound. It's a lot of collective tensions on us, huh? Uranus, the need for evolving, for getting the kind of wisdom that's necessary. And then Neptune, the quest for redemption, and Chiron, the call to the integration of the ancestral moon. That all angling the sun and the moon and Mars in Sagittarius. So, you know, in as I approach this new moon, and you know, because also it's so close to the winter solstice, you know, it feels to me like the energy is like a lot of us are deeply, deeply tired about after putting out so much energy, keeping up with collective demands, that we just want a little time to recollect our energy, to refocus, you know. So I've been advising people, you know, don't push so much right now. Take your time and renew your intention, because this is a very important time of the year as the year shifts into, we've been in the descending sun, now at the solstice, winter solstice, boom, the sun starts climbing up again. And so we want to tie ourselves up to the sun and let the sun bring our dreams up with it. So we want to tie ourselves, our little string to the sun, as it's in the lowest right now. It's easy to reach.
I like that image. That's beautiful.
That's kind of how I've been looking at that winter solstice for a long time. To me, it feels like, you know, the winter solstice, well, you know, from the summer to the winter solstice, it's a time of bringing everything in. And then when the sun again starts climbing, so now it's the time of outgoingness. It's starting again, you know. So now, okay, what am I going to do with this year? And then we go and we, as the sun climbs and we come to the equinox, then whoa, you know, everything is set in terms of intention. And then the second quarter of the year is really manifesting. And then we come to the summer solstice and wow, I've done a lot. Now it's time to bring it back in.
Yeah. And Sagittarius is going to be a time of really like probably taking a glimpse back and maybe seeing the whole perspective and really picking what you want to bring back in and what you're wanting to go for in the new year. It's definitely a lot of time of reflection.
Well, one, like in our last video there, a lady asked, you know, what does it all mean? And I think that that's a really powerful question that is asked in Sagittarius, is what does it all mean? You know, like the only joke I've ever written, it's what's the deepest letter in the alphabet?
I don't know.
What's the deepest letter in the alphabet? Why?
Oh boy.
Why? And so this is the time to ask the deep questions. What's the meaning behind all of what I've been doing?
Find it interesting. We're gonna have this new moon with the fieriness of Sag and the fieriness of Mars, but then it's all in Sagittarius, so it's ruled by Jupiter and Taurus, which is a lot more grounding. And then Taurus is ruled by Venus and Scorpio, so there's that depth, which is all trying to understand what the meaning is again. So there's this like depth and meaning and understanding around like how to grow and learn and develop ourselves, like within resources in the world around us and our body and our needs. And then what our needs are and the depth of them and maybe where they need to die to be reborn and what that new vision is.
That's beautiful. In our last video, we talked about how this time here is ruled by the loop the mutual reception loop between Venus, Mars, and Jupiter. So Jupiter's in the sign of Venus, Venus is in the sign of Mars, Mars in the sign of Jupiter. So Jupiter in Taurus, Scorpio, Sagittarius, so that that the quest for the depth that Venus seeks in Scorpio, and the meaning, the warrior for meaning, and the Jupiterian stability in Taurus. I think that that's really why we're asking why. Why are we asking why? What do we want meaning? It's because really we want stability and comfort, and we don't want life to be so hard. Why does it have to be so hard? And I think that that's the fair question to ask, our leaders and our families and everything, and ourselves, most importantly.
Yeah.
Why does it have to be so hard? What am I setting for intentions in terms of how can I simplify my life? How can I make it easier on myself? Because really, when it comes down to it, that's the point of Mars, right? I'm in control of my life. I set my intention and I go for what I want. So maybe I want a little more or a little too much, and maybe I need to set my sights on something that's more achievable so that I can have more time for my Venusian needs, more time for my Mercurian needs, instead of just go all the time. And that's hard in Sagittarius, right? Because we want to just go and catch every party. And that's interesting, because Sagittarius is the last fire sign, right?
Yeah.
So we have Aries, which means go, and Leo, I'm the star of the show. And Sagittarius, by the time we get to Sagittarius, it's a fire, but it's in the middle, it's at the beginning of winter. So it's a fire in the middle of the dark, so it is about really inner wisdom. And so then the fire within, and so really pushing towards that meaning and that fire within.
I love that. It reminds me of when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change, and our ability to take control of our life and really choose how we perceive reality so that we can be in a better, more harmonious relationship with it.
I had a concussion this week and hit my head really hard. And then I read the I Ching. And the I Ching said, is the wall banging on your head, or are you banging your head on the wall?
Is that what you got?
Yeah. Well, it was in the lines there in the comments, and to me that hit me like really hard. Like, is the wall hitting me on the head, or am I banging my hand on the wall? And that's and that's really important. In that, really, if we blame the wall, we might be missing the point here. And maybe it is that I'm banging my head on the wall, because the wall has no, it just stands there. So if I'm running into the wall, that's because I'm running into the wall. It was a really big point of realizing that maybe I should stop banging my head on the wall. Very interesting.
Oh, thanks for sharing that. You brought up Mercury there and the harmonious between Venus, Mars, and Mercury, which led me excited for what's coming next. But then I realized I should cool my jets and come back to this maybe first.
Well, your jets are cool. Okay, so, well, I think that we've been talking about the triad of transformation, and we're closing out our year, and that triad of transformation has been active all since the end of summer, and we've been talking lots about it. We have a WTF is going on video on the triad of transformation. And I think that that's at the root of a lot of the tensions that we're going through. And then as the moon and the sun, well, the sun's going to enter into Capricorn. So the next new moon, roughly, is going to be in conjunction with Pluto, triggering the triad of transformation. Then we're going to have the Mercury conjunct Pluto, Mars conjunct Pluto, Venus conjunct Pluto, all at the beginning. And they're all going to make angle to Uranus and Neptune. So out of the old.
There's change about.
Well, I think that it's really would be like you know, that definition of insanity. What's the definition of insanity?
I'm gonna butcher, hopefully not. If you keep doing the same thing, insanity is when you keep doing the same thing and expect a different result.
Insanity is to keep doing the same thing and expect different results.
Yeah.
And so then maybe, just maybe, it's not the wall that's hitting me on the head. It's me banging my head against the wall. And I think that that's a big adjustment that we need to make, that maybe it would be okay to stop banging our head against the wall. And I think that that's the deep meaning of this triad of transformation. That, like Stephen Covey talks about, you know, climbing the ladder, right? The ladder of success.
Yeah.
But if you put your ladder against the wrong wall,
yeah,
then you're not, and so putting your ladder against the right wall instead of finding ourselves in positions where we sacrifice our insanity and then we blame the wall for hitting us on the head.
Yeah.
And so, and I think that's that card, the 8 of Cups. Okay, I'm going to stop putting my ladder against the wrong wall, and I'm going to stop banging my head against the wall, and I'm going to let go of this emotional baggage, and I'm going to redefine my life according to a higher meaning.
Love that. Another piece that's going to really help, I think, has a potential to help, is that at the moment of this chart, when it is the new moon, the next day, Mercury goes retrograde. So at this moment, Mercury is going extremely slow because it's about to turn around. And so the mental focus of the mental capacities are going to be slowing down and turning more introverted and trying to re-examine things and re-examine our values and what we're working towards.
I think a lot of us are really tired of banging your head against the wall, and we're kind of worn out. And so, you know, if we took it easy for the holidays and minimized our extroversion and maximize our introversion, and that leads us to the next alignment that we wanted to look at.
Alignment?
Yes, the constellation of Venus, Mercury, Jupiter, and Saturn. A day or two before the new moon, there will be a sextile between Mercury and Saturn, which would complete the bowl shape. So the bowl shape is Venus opposite Jupiter. That's the top of the cup. And then Venus to Mercury, and Venus to Saturn, and then Jupiter to Saturn, and Jupiter to Mercury. The only thing that's missing to complete the bowl is Mercury to Saturn. And a couple of days before, Mercury will be in sextile to Saturn. So then we have a bowl-shaped constellation. It doesn't touch the new moon or the full moon. Indirectly, it does through the connection of the moon to
Jupiter.
Well, not even, actually, it doesn't touch it at all.
No, but it's ruled by Jupiter.
Yes, and then we have that Jupiter, but it doesn't really connect with it, per se. So what is that Mercury? So I wrote giving a voice to the power of intention. So whenever a constellation makes no angle to the sun or the moon, it's not as evident. It's not as accessible. At the same time, it's kind of a hidden door.
Undercurrent.
It's an undercurrent. I think that's what's available. If we stop pushing, especially that Mercury is turning retrograde, right? So if Mercury turns retrograde, that means it's going to do the bowl again.
Yeah.
It did the bowl before, it's going to do the bowl again. And so then that introversion that's encouraged from Mercury and the Venus in Scorpio, that's kind of like we talked about it, like the priestess. And then Jupiter and Taurus really wants solid ground, and Saturn and Pisces wants a good, strong, safe container to cross the great waters. And so there's a lot of energy constellated: Saturn, discipline; Jupiter, hope and faith; Mercury, my ability to communicate; and Venus, the feeling function. How do I feel? Well, I think a lot of us are really kind of accepting that we could have a different kind of reality. And so, but in order, that other saying is that's an old one. That's probably before your time. This is from the power of the positive of the positive mental attitude. Whatever the mind can conceive, it can achieve to the power of a positive mental attitude. But in that essay, that's a really old book, but in that essay, oh no, that's Stephen Covey that says that. He says most people don't plan to fail, they fail to plan. Right? So then the setting of the intention, the knowing what wall do you set your ladder on, and to set your intention, because like we said, the solstice is the lowest the sun is going to be. So this is the most reachable. So you tie your strings to the sun, and then as the sun starts climbing, you're going to climb with it. And so that's, to me, is the real meaning. Set your intention. The main thing that we can fail is not to plan. Make a plan. Set your intention. What do I want my life to be? And this new moon and this Mercury retrograde and this Venus in Scorpio, all of that conspires to a deep dive into setting our intentions.
Aiming your Sagittarian arrow.
Aiming the Sagittarius arrow at the highest good. Good for you. How was that little jaunt into the Sagittarius new moon?
Good. I'm excited for it. So I've been setting intentions since the beginning of Advent, and it's been very helpful so far. Just got to work towards them every day. Keep those fires alive.
Alchemical Opportunities. So we have Jupiter trines Mercury on the 8th.
Then on December 10th, Venus makes an opposition to Jupiter.
We looked at that quite a bit. That Venus opposite Jupiter is going to be the top of the bowl. Then the 12th, Sagittarius New Moon. That's on Tuesday, early in the morning. Good time to have, an early morning, good journaling, light your Advent candle, second week of Advent. And then the next day after that,
Mercury turns retrograde. Got up to 8 degrees of Capricorn, and now it's gonna slowly turn around and go back into Sagittarius.
We did a whole video on that. That was the video that got so well received. We got 2,100 views. Go check that out. It breaks out the whole Mercury retrograde cycle and the progress from Sagittarius into Capricorn, the whole rundown on Mercury. Check it out. And we'll put the link at the end of the video for that one. We'll also put a link on the WTF video on the Triad of Transformation.
You should do the Sag in there while you're at it too. Sagittarius.
Okay.
And coming back to Mercury, December 22nd, Mercury conjuncts the Sun, 0 degrees Capricorn, right before, or right after, I should say, the Sun enters into Capricorn. So that's why it's at 0 degrees. So it's going to be Mercury conjunct the Sun and winter solstice on December 22nd.
So, you know, Mercury conjunct the Sun, we've talked about that many times before. That's the combustion that happens when Mercury conjuncts the Sun. And so it's going to be very easy to kind of lose our marbles, but it's also a very important time for refocusing. So the Mercury retrograde, the Sagittarius new moon, and the winter solstice, huge alchemical opportunities to set your sight, to set your ladder, to tie your string to the sun. Do it. Let's do it together, actually.
Let's do it.
Okay, and then December 26th, day after Christmas, the last full moon of 2023, a nurturing Cancer full moon at 4 degrees of Capricorn and Cancer. We'll do a video on that. We'll also do a video on the solstice, and we'll do a video on the Sun in Capricorn.
Lots more coming.
We got lots of work. So you were saying that we should also put a link to the Sun in Sagittarius. So a link to the Sun in Sagittarius, a link to Mercury, and a link to WTF.
Yeah.
That was fun. How did you like this video?
Good. I feel excited to set intentions, and it'll get me through the trickier times later this month, hopefully.
Out of the old. Stop banging your hand against the wall and put your ladder on the right wall. Until next time, I'm Martin Comtois, MC Starman, Dayana Robinson, my co-pilot. Thank you so much for your support, and we'll keep them coming.
Over and out for now.